I'd like to call the February 12th, 2026 Airport Advisory Board meeting to order. If I could please have a roll call.
Chairperson Melinda Jordan.
Here.
Board member Malcolm Dean.
Here.
Board member Charles Schoen.
Here.
Board member Matt Gibson.
Here.
We have a quorum. That was number 2. Number 3 on our agenda is election of officers. At the first of the year, we need to reappoint a chair and a vice chair. So I'm open to nominations.
I'll select for vice chair.
You'd like to run for vice? Okay, so Malcolm would like to run for vice chair. Any discussion? I think I need to make a motion. I move that we appoint Malcolm Dean as vice chair. Any discussion or a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? Nay. All right, no nays. That passes unanimously with Malcolm as our vice chair. Then we still need a chair.
Motion for Melinda Jordan for chair.
Okay. Is that a second? That nodding?
You want me to get it on the record?
Yeah.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, nay? All right. I will serve as your chair, and Malcolm is my vice chair. Thank you. Malcolm was vice chair before, so he's been in that position in the past. And thank you for stepping up for that. All right, number 4 and 5 kind of go together, selecting our meeting date and time for 2026, and then selecting where we're going to post the agendas. I move that we continue with the second Thursday of the month, beginning at 6 p.m. in City Council chambers for 12 months out of the year. And so I'll stick to the agenda. Number 4, I'll propose that we continue with this schedule. Is there any, I propose we keep second Thursday, 6 p.m., City Council chambers. Could I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Malcolm. Is there any discussion? Does that not work for anybody? I think it's worked for us historically. All in favor then of continuing with our current schedule of the second Thursday at 6 p.m., please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Number 5 is official posting location for board agendas. That has been the city website. I think in the past we've put them in paper at the FBO. I don't know if we've been continuing with that, but the city website is where you can get the most up-to-date documents and pull them for yourself, review them, and view former documents. So I would move that we continue with our official posting location for board agendas as the City of Longmont agenda portal for boards, commissions, and council. Could I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Malcolm. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No nays. Passes unanimously. All right, moving at the speed of light. Next up is public invited to be heard. So we don't require a sign up and we don't require residency within the city. It's open to everybody. We have a 5-minute timer for public invited to be heard. We ask you to state your name, your location, and please be respectful in your comments and direct them to the board.
Hey, Melinda, could you talk a little bit more?
Yeah.
It's hard to hear you. I'm going to turn up the mic.
Okay. Oh, that was loud.
Is that better?
Yep.
Probably. Okay.
Go ahead and talk.
Sorry. I could try to speak right into it. Oh,
There you
that's
go.
awful.
Okay. I set them up,
That's
too.
awful. So public invited to be heard is open, 5 minutes. Please state your name and location, home address or address, and direct your comments to the board. And we don't have a sign-up sheet, so just first one to come forward. Oh, did we have one? I don't see it. You want to call it for me?
Stephanie.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
I'll go first.
Okay. And just, again, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, let's see. This is not as high.
It seems silly, but red means you're good.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm Stephanie Uhas. I live at 712 Collier here in Longmont. I'm here because I've heard quite a bit of ruckus around a few things, like the fact that perhaps this board might be dissolved, and that's very concerning. The fact that hangars are no longer being leased for the term that they were in the past, and that there's a development by McWhinney. And I don't know how many of you actually know anything about McWhinney, or maybe you guys were in on this, I don't know. But honestly, those people are from Loveland. They have a reputation. They're doing a lot of really ugly things there. And this is part of, it feels like, the city's development plan to continue building out infrastructure, disregarding anything that's been here in the past. History's just being destroyed, including the airport. That's what it frankly feels like. So I don't know what kind of a plan is going on here, but it is really disturbing. And I'm speaking as a citizen, not as a person who actually has a stake in the airport, but the airport is a historical thing that should be allowed to exist, and people who move here after the fact come and complain about the noise, but the airport was here first, and it really, I mean, some people have actually even said that perhaps the developers are encouraging people to complain on purpose. So I'm really upset about this, and I don't know what it is that I can do to stop this development and these ideas of destroying what you already have. But I'm here to speak my mind about it. And I'm probably not going to get a response from anybody. I guess that's how it works, right? Okay, wonderful. So then I'll just say, I wonder what if the city council is behind this? I wonder if the staff is behind this instead. Maybe the city council doesn't actually have to make any measures or do anything because the staff is doing all the dirty work. So I really wonder, I noticed that we're also becoming a 15-minute city, and I'm really against that as well, and I'm against a lot of the things that are happening here, and I've lived here for 30 years. So I don't know what to do and how I can make my voice heard, because frankly, whenever I have time, and I work 2 jobs and I have 60 hours a week, I don't have time to come to council meetings, but when I do, I feel like I'm not heard and nobody cares. So you want us all to leave? All the people who've been here, is that what you want? Or you want to just bring in people at this idea, we're going to build new buildings for income-sensitive people who are going to pay $400,000? That's not something for income-sensitive people. I don't know what in the world is going on here, but it is not what you think it is. I think it's time for the truth to be told and the wool to come off of everybody's eyes. So that's as much as I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. And we cannot speak back, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Next, in public invited to be heard.
Scott Stewart's next on the list.
Okay, Scott.
There you go. Chair Jordan, members of Airport Advisory Board, Scott Stewart, 229 Grant Street. A couple of things real quick. Last month's meeting was canceled because we didn't have quorum. If you guys could express that on the website, it would be greatly appreciated. As soon as you guys know it's going to be canceled, please get that to the city, and I'm sure the city can put that on the website to make sure that everybody's updated and what have you. Looking at the minutes from the 2012, I believe you're going to be approving the minutes from the December 11th meeting. It states in final call last thing for public invited to be heard. Speaking about me, it says he states the airport authority structure could potentially provide more transparency and clarity on the airport finances. That's not something I said. And no, so if you're going to approve the minutes, please strike that. AMS systems. You guys need to be educated as much as possible. The AMS system that we've had in place for 2-3 years now, can provide you with a lot of actual information, not just hearsay or what have you. Please get a presentation from the airport manager or from city staff or what have you on the capabilities of the AMS system, and require some of this information within your package so that you guys are better educated on this, because I think you're not informed enough, and the information is there. Let's share that information so we can make good decisions. That's it. Have a great night.
Thank you, Scott. Do I have anybody else?
And that was the last on the list, anyway.
Okay. Dr. Grunsfeld?
John Grunsfeld, 229 Airport Road. First thing I'd like to do is thank all of you for being on the Airport Advisory Board. This is a voluntary board. You're taking your valuable time to help inform the city of Longmont about aviation issues, airport issues. The airport is an enormous contributor to the town of Longmont, city of Longmont, and the Colorado community. It's part of the national airspace system. It's as much a part of the integration of activities around the country as our roads are. However, aviation is a specialty. It's not the kind of knowledge that normal city dwellers have, and I think it's absolutely crucial if the city council wants to have informed opinions about the airport from citizens that we retain the Airport Advisory Board. The Transportation Advisory Board would not have the same kind of knowledge as folks who are knowledgeable about the airport and spend their time learning about the airport. And I have to say, in the 8 years that I've had my business in Longmont, I have seen just absolutely the worst decisions made about the airport by the city council. And integrating the planning department, the transportation department, the airport advisory board, the decisions that have been made, as the first speaker said, have just been terrible. The planning department has approved approximately 3,000 people now right inside of the airport influence zone under the pattern as published in the Longmont zoning code. What kind of a decision is that to decide to put all of those bedrooms in luxury apartments, which does nothing to address any of the housing issues that we've all talked about, that will be future noise complainers at an airport where the FAA says we have some of the fewest noise complaints in Colorado. And many of those noise complaints are by physics, which I'm a PhD physicist, absolutely impossible. So I think you absolutely need to have a knowledgeable advisory board. The city council can consider that advice in their decision making, and I hope they do in the future. But the Tuesday council meeting where the proposal was made, no offense, Councilmember McCoy, to integrate the Airport Advisory Board, essentially dissolving it and having the Transportation Advisory Board give advice to the city on the airport, is a very bad idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have anybody else who would like to speak? Go ahead, Chad.
Chad Renicky, 907 Champion Circle. Wasn't planning on speaking. Just got a couple things. One, I would really like to see the Airport Advisory Board invite the City Council out to the airport. I think a lot of the decisions that are being made are based on a lack of education of what's going on out there. There's a lot of hearsay, a lot of false narratives, a lot of false ideas. There's really a lot of really good things that happen out there. John and I are both working with a citizens group and a council person to try to find out, get some answers or move forward with solving some of the issues that we have. And we're moving forward with that, and it's going very positive. Both both the citizens group and the airport group were pretty much on the same page, just coming at it at a different angle. And I think we're going to make some pretty good advancements with what we're doing. But the airport is important to this city. We have quite an aviation background, an aviation center here with the center up on 17th. The airport's 80 years old. We've got people that are involved in the airport, from just starting to become aviators to someone like John that's an astronaut. The Innovation Center over at the on the east side of town, southeast corner of town, with their aviation program, 200 to 400 students in that program. I'd really hate to see anything bad happen because we're trying to. There's really a good group of people that are trying to make all this come together and work well for the city, and something to be very proud of. But I think bottom line is I think there needs to be some more education with the council, and I would like to see the Airport Advisory Board make that invitation and get them out there. March 21st, the EAA chapter is having a Young Eagles rally. That's a very good time for them to come and see young people getting introduced to aviation. So that would be a good day to have them out. We'll supply coffee and donuts. All right, thank you.
Yum, thank you. Do I have any other public that would like to speak? Go ahead.
Good evening. Dave Kopp, 229 Airport Road, Unit 33. I'm the Vice President for Longmont Owners and Pilots Association. And my boss is here tonight, and I'll be happy if he doesn't fire me. Well, maybe I'll be happy if he does, because it's a non-paying job for the last 10, 15 years. But I wanted to thank the advisory board. You've done some incredible things under a lot of pushback, and I appreciate that. I do believe it's critical that you stay intact and get your members filled back. I understand we have at least one member of the council that opposes that, but the bottom line is that you're sorely needed. This is a critical organization. You know, I've spent 24 years donating my time 6 days a week, and my helicopter. I've done hundreds of flights for kids. On their first flight, I've done a lot of flying at the request of the city under the flood conditions, both myself and Doug Lyle. And we didn't get a nickel out of that other than we got our gas reimbursed. Helicopter time on a piston is $500 an hour. On a turbine that Doug flies is $1,500 an hour. We donated all of that. The bottom line is we're here if you need us, and a lot of times you've needed us. But the bottom line is the advisory board is critical. I'm not just an angry old man. I've donated a lot of time, even to try to eliminate the prairie dogs, hundreds of hours. I didn't use my EE electrical engineering degree. I just went out there and did what had to be done. So thank you for your help, and we want to keep donating our time and keep helping the airport. It is critical to this organization, this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have anybody else? Stop all these timers. Anybody else would like to speak in public?
Could
All
I
right.
have 30 more seconds of my time that I didn't take?
I think you still had like 2 minutes left. I don't know how that works, but
There'll also
wait,
be
I do
another-
have a second. I do have a second public.
Yeah.
Let's do that, because then you get another whole 5.
Okay.
Okay. Seeing nobody else for this public invited to be heard, I'll close that. Next up is approval of the minutes. So let's look at December 11th minutes first. And the only correction I saw was page 2, line 36 and line 39. It refers to RFPs, and those were RFIs, I believe, not RFPs. For proposals, implementation. Yeah, they were asking about the landing fee. Those were RFIs. And then to Mr. Stewart's request, that is perplexing because I wasn't here, so I don't know. But he would like his comments stricken.
Page 3,
line 38.
Page 3, line 3738. To the end of that paragraph?
Just the middle, he stated until it says airport finances. It's one sentence.
Okay, he stated until it says airport finances, and then the final sentence is acceptable. And then council, or board member Gibson?
December 11th, page 3, line 3. When it's next to Boulder Airport, it says BJC. That is not the code for the Boulder Airport. It's what, BOU? BDU.
Did you see anything? Did you see anything, Joe? Oh, you've got your light on. There you go.
January 8th.
Okay, let's go ahead then, if you want to start with that. I've got you lit up.
Yeah. Let's see, minutes from the Airport Advisory Board, January 8th, 26. Line 12, it states those absent were board members Malcolm Dean, Matt Gibson, and Charles Schilling, and council member Sean McCoy. So that meeting was canceled at 9:30 in the morning. So if the meeting's canceled, I think we should probably set the record straight and say the meeting was canceled. So board members did not show, at least I didn't show because I was told the meeting was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like the record to reflect that I was willing, able, and anxious to come in, but I don't know if you remember that text stream.
I do.
So just, I go to great pains to make these meetings. Sometimes I drive a long ways, hours and hours. So I'd like to just reflect that, and I don't know if anybody else has any comment on that, but.
So that is correct. We knew we didn't have a quorum, and I alerted everybody so they didn't have to come in. I came in to open and close the meeting, and that's per our bylaws. And because when we knew we didn't have a quorum, it didn't get posted in time, so it still shows that we had a meeting when we didn't, as of today.
So one person couldn't make it, right?
Right.
As I remember.
Mhm. Yeah. And so, but I did come in to open and close the meeting because I expected public to be here, which we did have public here, and it wasn't on the website. There wasn't enough time. The staff didn't have enough time to
Okay.
cancel it online. So that was why I came in. So that would be a reasonable change, that to say the meeting was canceled, or that the wording you gave was good. Did you get what Charles said? Okay, so that would be the right wording, that it was canceled in advance. Because it was canceled in advance, nobody came in, and you did offer to come in, and so did everybody, but we knew we didn't have a quorum. So that is good. Did anybody else have any other adjustments? All right. So with those adjustments, I'd like to move that we accept the December 11th, 2025 minutes, and we accept the January 8th, 2026 minutes with those changes. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Malcolm. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay? No nays. It passes unanimously. Thank you.
Could I get some clarification?
Sure.
And we can defer this if we need to, so like procedures. How much lead time? How much lead time does the city need if something comes up again in the future? Just to be considerate to board members and the public, if a meeting's going to get canceled, is it 20, is that what you
Yeah,
said earlier?
I can talk a little about it. If I'm incorrect, correct me. I believe that unless it's officially called before 24 hours, you have to continue to essentially do what occurred, where you go, you open, you close.
Okay.
But if it's over 24 hours, that's enough time to post it as canceled and give everybody a chance to see it.
So is it okay for the chairperson to alert, to avoid people driving in if they don't want to drive in, within 24 hours, say, hey, so-and-so, one of the board members couldn't make it, or we don't have a quorum, we're not going to have the meeting within 24 hours. I mean, I can drive in if I need to, but let's give people some grace here. If they don't have to drive in, let's not do that.
To my understanding, and yeah.
So if I may, Jen Newton, Assistant City Manager for External Services. So we have a procedure with, there are two different things. So I think it's certainly appropriate for the chair to say, you don't have to come in because we know that we don't have a quorum and avoid people driving. We also have an obligation, if we don't notify before those 24 hours, to continue to have that meeting, to come in and open and close the meeting. And I think the adjustments to the minutes, they're not full minutes because there wasn't a meeting because there wasn't a quorum, but it's an acknowledgement that there wasn't a quorum and that meeting then didn't happen.
Great.
That answers your question.
Yep, and it sounds like you followed that procedure just fine. Thank you. Yep, thank you. It's all good. Thank you very much.
All right, with minutes approved, next is updates from the airport manager, Levi.
All right, just got a couple quick updates from important stuff, and then we got a busy rest of the schedule, so I'll move through this quickly. Really, the two big things I have for this month update: VNAP meetings, the quarterly one, again coming up on February 23rd, so we'll be headed that direction. Still waiting to kind of hear back from that crew to make sure everything's kosher and everything's moving forward. But there's the standing invite that. So we should be headed to that. And the second thing, we are moving towards signing agreements both for the voluntary noise abatement, independent assessment, and for the rates and charges study, and that is still kind of all together with us and procurement, and that's still proceeding forward. We are very close, though. That's pretty much the updates I have right now.
Is the VNAP review is that with the rates and charges, or is that a
No, these
separate?
are two separate, I should have clarified that, thank you. These are two separate projects that we're pursuing agreements for.
Okay, so the VNAP will be evaluated by somebody, and then the rates and charges study will be
Yes.
produced. Okay, all right. And then do we have any idea about a time frame on the return of the rates and charges study?
And kind of, yeah, so as expressed in the city council meeting this week, it would be about 3 months. Yep.
I see. Let's try this. Okay, why is it doing that? It's only giving you off. Okay, I wasn't sure. Perfect, thank you.
Absolutely.
You've got so that covers the noise abatement program and then the communications plan and the fuel plan?
So that we will come under information items.
Okay. You are correct. So we'll move to information items. Sorry about that. I usually have my little cheat sheet that tells me who everybody is, and it's not easy running this mic. So let's move to information items, provided there's no questions on updates. Your governance review? That's going to be a presentation, right?
So is there, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get there. I can.
Does it go in?
I think it's,
This guy.
I thought it was down here, but maybe it is up there. Looks like they moved it. They're changing things on us here. I guess we don't need this if he's going to stay over there. Where's he?
Do you want to come here? You want to go?
I can stand it and control it.
Just come on.
Okay, so for those of you that I don't know, my name is Chris Robbie. I'm Assistant City Attorney from the City Attorney's Office. I'm here to present on some of the legal framework that is applicable to the Airport Advisory Board, as well as all the city's boards and commissions. We do this presentation and training kind of periodically or as needed to our various boards, new board members, et cetera. So I think it's been at least a few years since I've been here with this presentation, so I think we thought it was a good time to just kind of do a refresher, start of the year, and kind of go through some of the applicable framework. So as far as agenda goes, I'll try to be quick, but I think I'll plan on quickly going over the AAB powers and duties. We'll briefly touch on the bylaws, and then we'll discuss at least two legal statutes, the Colorado Open Meetings Law as well as the Colorado Open Records Act. Obviously, there are more, but these are two of the ones that we deal with more frequently for our boards. So generally speaking, under the city charter and the Longmont Municipal Code, City Council has the authority to create advisory boards and commissions. And the way that they do that is through ordinance, and those ordinances typically specify the board's specific powers and duties. As you all know, the boards are advisory in character, and the City Council is responsible for appointing or removing board members and the process that they set up for that. And that can be found in the City Charter, Article 7. So as far as the Airport Advisory Board, there is actually a chapter in the code, 2.94, which discusses some of the framework for the AAB, including their specific powers and duties. Generally speaking, I won't read this verbatim, but there's roughly 8 powers and duties that the AAB is responsible for. These are kind of the specific enumerated duties that they have as far as being an advisory board for the city. That includes, long-range master plans, reviewing and recommending actions on lease rates, fees, master lease documents, goals and objectives for the airport, as well as airport rules and regulations. I think it's just helpful to, you all can find the municipal codes online. Everyone can find it, search it. So I think it's just helpful to review that and just kind of refresh everyone's memories of what exactly the AAB responsibilities are. So like I discussed, the AAB is advisory. It provides recommendations to City Council on these specific airport matters. Generally speaking, the AAB should not be providing recommendations to other governmental entities or other business entities. Specifically, their responsibility is to provide review recommendations to City Council. The AAB also does not have the authority to comment on or make recommendations on specific land use applications. Generally, that responsibility is reserved for the Planning and Zoning Commission as well as City Council themselves, who actually decide on various land use applications, developments, but that is not one of the duties of the Airport Advisory Board. Also, one of the duties is generally the AAB does not enforce policy or carry out rules of operation on the airport. I know that probably makes sense, but generally that's for the airport staff, management, that, obviously the AAB is not out there actually enforcing rules, those types of things. So the other area that kind of governs the AAB and their proceedings is the bylaws. And so I believe those were last updated in 2022. Those are also online. I don't know if you all have been provided with those, but they kind of provide some details about how meetings should be held and some of the topics that can be discussed. It discusses things like quorum, voting, meeting proceedings. Again, I won't go through them in depth, but there's also a provision that talks about conflicts of interest and how to deal with those if a board member has a conflict of interest, kind of disclosing that, a potential one, disclosing that, and then possibly recusing themselves from a matter if that is appropriate. Generally speaking, the airport manager is responsible for preparing the AAB meeting and materials, including the agenda and the packet. Having said that, the chair or board members can request specific items and kind of collaborate with the airport manager on what those agenda items could look like for the AAB. And I will answer questions at the end, so I'm kind of going through this quickly, but feel free to write those down. So as far as the Colorado Open Meetings Law, generally speaking, it's a state statute. The government meetings are open to the public. And obviously that applies to City Council, but it also applies to the city's advisory boards, as they are considered local public bodies under the Open Meetings Law. Obviously, the purpose of that is the formation of public policy is public business and should not be conducted in private. So what is a meeting? So a meeting is defined as any gathering by elected officials or board of commissions to discuss public business, and it does include the following: phones, in person, Zoom, text, emails, those types of things. So generally speaking, if there's 3 or more board members in they get together to discuss policymaking. That is a meeting that should be open to the public. And so I know obviously in this setting, the board has their monthly meetings and these are open to the public and there's agenda. However, we do want to remind folks that that does also apply to meetings that might be held outside of this. So if board members get together, 3 or more, and they are discussing AAB business policy, that is technically a meeting and that should be open to the public as well. And then that would also include email chains, text chains, those types of things. So just kind of a reminder that, if folks are getting together with 3 or more and they're discussing AAB business, that could be an open meeting, which would be subject to the statute. So there are exceptions to the open meetings law. There has to be a link between the meeting and the policymaking powers of the government entity or the AAB in this case. Merely discussing matters of public importance does not necessarily trigger the open meetings law. Also, chance meetings or social gatherings at which discussion of public business is not the central purpose, that would not technically be a meeting under the Colorado Open Meetings Law. So, if board members are at a social gathering and not discussing a business, obviously that's not an open meeting. That would have to be subject to the statute. So, as you all probably know, any meeting must give public full and timely notice of the meeting so they can attend, and they should also include specific items that are discussed on the agenda. Minutes must be taken and properly recorded. So, if there are agenda items that folks would like to be on agenda, typically our recommendation is that you request leave. I put that on a future agenda because if it's not already on the agenda, the proper route would be to put that on a future agenda so that it is out and the public has notice of that. So another just thing to be aware of that we'd like to tell folks, so AAB motions, recommendations, resolutions, actions of the Airport Advisory Board, all of those do need to kind of occur formally at a public meeting. So, if there are resolutions or recommendations that are adopted with the AAB, those should be kind of specifically voted on and kind of discussed and voted on in a public meeting. So, even if there's generally direction in a public meeting to go and provide a recommendation, if the recommendation is drafted outside of the meeting, that should still come back, the actual recommendation, so that it can be discussed in a public meeting and the board has a vote on those actual recommendations. So quickly, the Colorado Open Records Act, generally speaking, public records are open to public inspection and disclosure. Again, the goal behind this statute is an open and transparent government. This applies to all municipal governments, including the city of Longmont. So what is a record that would be open to public disclosure? So that's all writings that are made, maintained, or kept by the city, which would include elected officials, employees, as well as our advisory board members. So a record can include the following. Again, just it's broad. So emails, texts, notes, electronic, paper. If it's a public record, it could be subject to KORA. I think just generally speaking, usually the KORA requests come through the city and we have a KORA request portal, but if you all do receive some type of a KORA request, we would have to just direct that to the city so that we can kind of go through the proper channels to figure out what records might need to be produced with that. But again, I don't say this to dissuade folks from using email, text, obviously it's an important tool, but I guess just be mindful that if there are written communications that talk about AAB business, that could be a public record and that might have to be open to inspection if someone requests to look at it. So I think Jen's going to talk for a few things, then we're happy to answer questions.
Hi, all. I just wanted to add a few kind of comments about civility. I think that over the last couple of years, there's kind of been a growing incivility. So there's work, CML here is the Colorado Municipal League has this initiative for municipal leaders and employees and board members on boards like this one to play a role in fostering respectful dialogue. So civility is, you all know this, I don't need to go through this definition, but being respectful and even when you disagree, not being disagreeable. So having constructive dialogue, connection, recognizing the inherent dignity of every person. And I've got this other separate thing, so hold on just a second. So one of the things is about creating an atmosphere of a public meeting where participants feel valued and comfortable expressing their views. So that's an important component of the work that you do here. And then there is a pledge that's out there that's through the Colorado Municipal League about to make that space for folks to feel welcome to be here at a public meeting and to have that dialogue here at the dais among all of the members of this board. So if you have any questions, that's the last slide that I have. You may have more questions for Chris, but I'm happy to answer any questions about that civility component as well.
My first question is, did we get this in our packet so we can refer back to it? Because I don't think it's in here. So both your presentation and then what you just gave us, Jen?
It is not in the packet, I believe, but I'm happy to give it to Levi and he can kind of distribute it if that would be helpful.
That would be great. Thank you. And do we have any questions?
I have some questions for the, I'm sorry, what was your title, sir?
Assistant City Attorney.
Assistant City Attorney. I am a terrible reply all person. What happens if I make a mistake and I reply all on a email thread that has the board on it?
I would just be mindful that replying all could trigger open meeting law issue. You know, like I think we have seen things happen where folks put people on email chains and then don't realize, you know, that could be an open meeting law issue. So I just would encourage folks to, maybe if it's, I don't know, not have the entire group chain. So if you need to talk to Levi or another board member, you know, kind of, you can do that individually, or if there's a discussion that's for the broader board, obviously just kind of to bring that to the board meeting itself.
Speaking of Levi, does he apply to this? Because he's not a board member, but he is in our bylaws, technically.
It is a good question. I don't think, well, I don't think that he is a board member, so it would be, I don't think the Levi would count as the three or more, because he's not technically a board member, you know, so.
So let's say member Schilling, myself, and Levi, we're all talking about avgas and how we need to make changes. Would that not violate the open meetings law, or can we discuss avgas outside of this forum?
I'll just say the statute says three or more members of a board, so I don't think that would trigger the open meetings law, but again, I guess I would always err on the side of if you think that there's an issue that you'd like to discuss amongst the board, just to err on the side of bringing it to the board, but I don't think that would necessarily trigger the open meeting law.
I personally tend to be overcautious, so well, you'll always see I'll like email individual board members, and I never put anyone, because my ultimate fear is that someone will reply and then CC someone else, and it'll grow and build, and that's kind of what I'm worried about.
And my last question on the open meetings law is study sessions. You know, we have a master plan that we should probably get started working on here soon. Do those also apply to open meetings laws?
Yes, if the board is there, those would apply, and I think sometimes boards do have special meetings or study sessions, and you can kind of post that, you know, where it occurs, and then that could be open to the public. So yes, I think that would, especially if there's, if it was a formal study session.
And then specifically to the master plan, which is on our project list. That will be a very thoroughly guided, not only by city staff, but also we will have engineers and planners that are very used to that, which will help us with keep all our P's and Q's separate too. Also,
thank you.
I'm going to step in real quick on that. What I have learned is that our council liaison is considered a member of the board. So that is a sunshine law violation. It could be you and Charles and Sean, and then that is a violation. So he is, while he doesn't vote, he is counted as a board member. So I blew that one. That was how I learned that. And then the other one was when I have asked for if you're going to be able to attend. I did the first message I did to everybody so you could see who I was asking, but then I did, nobody replied, so then I sent my reminder and just did them individually. So you can reply only and reply to me. I don't know that attendance would, I was just saying, are you going to be available? So I would think that wasn't a violation, but, well, always got to be careful. So just, yeah, the reply only. I'd love some clarification on that, given our situation that, so I emailed these three to ask if they were if they anticipated being able to attend. And nobody replied back, so I then individually messaged them and then got the replies that way. Do you have feelings on that?
I think often what happens is that staff reaches out and sends a message and says, is there a quorum? And then each of you can respond to Levi or to me if I were the one to send it out, or to Kayla, or any number of staff members who might step in and, if someone's sick or something like that. That's generally what happens and if you had something that you wanted to share with everybody, you could send it to the staff member and the staff member would then share it out. Like if there was an article about airport something, about avgas, that you could then have Levi or me share that out with the members, because we're able to share information with you. It's the conversation that creates the open meetings violation.
And since we're having such a
you.
good discussion, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, this is my understanding. So let's say in that situation, I wanted to reach out to the board to ask them for your beer. If I do that and I blind carbon copy everyone, I'm reaching out to you, I'm telling you something, but there is no possibility for you then really to reply to everyone. Since a conversation didn't occur, that would not be a violation of sunshine law, correct? Oh, no.
We could chat offline. I mean, I think, it's the reply all that I think, and when we start getting into more of the
So
issues.
if I initially blind carbon copy everyone and it goes out as individual messages and they can't reply all because it's blind carbon copy, then I could still notify them, but I don't really run the risk of having a sunshine law issue.
I think generally, because I think generally that would be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. We'll figure this out.
Hi, Chris, thanks for clarifying that. It's helpful. So, as a rookie at this, when I feel like I'm potentially exposed or liable, and I'm being advised by an attorney, and I get maybes and not sure and chat offline, it makes me even more nervous. So if you could somehow come back and clarify some of these questions, and if we're not sure, then okay, be cautious. But to me, that's not really personally, it's not a satisfactory answer myself, thinking about what am I exposed with here. I don't plan to do anything wrong, but when the attorney is saying I'm not sure and it's not clear, that really makes me nervous. So if you could clarify that, it'd be great. You don't have to do it now. I mean, you can come back.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to send an email out, or we can chat offline. But I think generally speaking, if there is concerns, just the concern is emailing multiple board members. So I think if there are concerns, I would just respond individually to another board member or individually to Levi. I think that would alleviate the concern. But I'm happy to respond via email if there's more specifics.
Well, earlier in the conversation, it was the BCC is one example. Just if you can get really clear, and I'm speaking for myself here, I don't want to get wrapped up in any of this stuff, and it makes me concerned when the attorney doesn't know. So anyway, sorry for right between your eyes, but I need to know, and if you don't know, it's like, all right, well, it's ambiguous, Okay, thank you.
I guess what I would just say is that the work that you're doing here is important, and part of the sunshine law is so that people can attend, and the audience who's here and the folks who watch the recordings, or if we're streaming live. So if there's a business to happen, it should happen in this space so that people can see it and participate in it. So I think that's if you have a question for another board member individually, you can have a question. But if there's business that needs to happen here, it should happen in this public space so people can participate.
Great.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, then I've got the next item.
Thank you.
So the next item will be the Vance Brand Noise Abatement Program. Honestly, I actually kind of already skipped ahead. I talked about that earlier. My announcement on that this month is that we will be doing the quarterly flight instructor meetings down at Rocky Mountain at their invitation. That's what I had for the noise abatement program today. I think we're good with that. Okay. The next item I have is the communications plan draft. This is pretty much an information item that this document is not mine. This is not to be confused with the emergency communications plan. This is the communications plan draft. This was written up by the city as a document to kind of help the airport with its overall general communications. The draft is attached to your packet. Kind of the intent of attaching that tonight was just have it there for you to talk a little bit, just to let you know it's here, give you a chance to read it. Jill Liss will be here actually at the next meeting to talk about it in detail and answer questions in detail. She's the author of that document. Right, I can't really answer any questions anyway because it's her document. But and the last thing on there will be the fuel transition plan. That's attached to there. Started writing that late last summer, last fall. It was officially sent to the Colorado Department of Transportation in December. We were going to talk about it in January and let you guys see it. But of course we didn't have the meeting. That plan, as lengthy as you, I'm sure you probably flipped through it all. You see, it's a lot. There's a lot of technical. There's a lot of this tank price, that tank price, removal price, stuff like that. But it does kind of break down a general timeline for potentially how we could transition out of fuel. It was accepted, first pass by CDOT, so a little bit proud about that. They really liked it. So, yeah, are there any questions on that?
Let me see if I find this. I saw some wording in here about, again, ambiguity. Sorry, I'm flipping through it again. There was some wording along the lines of pilots, airplanes are, I'm sorry, I can't find it, incented or not incented, are likely to comply. Where was that wording? Sorry, I can't find it now.
I'm not sure. I'd have to see exactly what you're talking about. Don't happen to know what page it was on, or?
So I'm looking at aviation fuel transition plan, right?
Yes.
Page 8, maybe? It was more compliance. Oh, demonstrate stakeholder engagement and aircraft owner support. What would a demonstration of stakeholder engagement look like? How would you tell your boss that we have stakeholder engagement, and how would he know that that's a true statement?
So I think I need to, was it closely? I want to read the exact passage.
Same with aircraft owner support. How would you know that you have aircraft owner support?
And do you know what section this is under?
That is legislative background and requirements, HB 24-1235 overview.
Okay.
So I'm not just picking on the attorney. It's like, can we get some
Compliance
clarity?
requirements, potentially
It's
valuable.
that's very, well, subject to interpretation.
Stakeholder engagement. Compliance requirements. Again, that's what's required by House Bill 24-1235. So
I get that.
That's up to them. So reach out to CDOT. Unfortunately,
Are you in charge of making sure? Are you?
I can't tell you what they mean by that intent. So, I guess the short answer to that would be, we wrote this document, we gave it to them to their approval, and ergo they foresee it as fulfilling that.
So you wrote this document?
Yes.
So there you go.
Yep.
Demonstrate stakeholder engagement. What does that mean? How do you know that you have stakeholder engagement?
That's an excellent question. Unfortunately, I don't have a super clear answer for you right now.
If you could work on that, it'd be great. Thanks. And also, aircraft owner support. What does that mean? How many owners, aircraft owners would support it?
Okay.
Thanks.
As I understand it, those are the requirements under the House bill, right?
Yes. Those are the
they're-
requirements of the
So
House
you're just
bill.
repeating their statement?
Yes, that was
in
kind
the-
of an overview of
okay, yeah,
what's
so-
required by the
But
bill.
I thought you said you wrote this, and then you
He
handed
did,
it
but
off
he's
to the...
repeating
Yes, but I'm-
their overview and their,
Okay, so it's
Their
on you. I mean,
requirements.
you took it and handed it off. Anyway, you get my point. It'd be great to understand what that means, and when it's done, you could demonstrate that with facts other than waving a hand. Thanks.
oh my God. Hold on, let's try. It won't let me turn any mics on.
Well, I'm on, yeah.
Oh, I need...
Okay, there we go. Levi, I see that there's some grant requirements for this. What's the worst case scenario? We don't get any of the grants, there's no funding, we're in a recession for 4 years.
Via the requirements of the bill, we're still obligated to make the transition by 2030. I don't really foresee that as an issue. I foresee the state understanding that this was their requirement, are probably going to be very supportive, and whether that's through their own independent grant work and help and assistance, or with them working with the federal government, I foresee them being, bending over backwards to make sure that, since this is passed, that being supportive of small airports.
And it's just a transition to gas. Is there any information about maybe adding electric as well?
If I recall correctly, and again, I have to get into the details of the entire bill. There's not a whole lot of focus on this, and was really focused a lot on, or at least this single aspect of it was focused on the transition from leaded to unleaded.
Okay, thank you.
That's kind of what the focus of this part was.
Oh, hold on.
Okay, there's a comment in here, highly compatible with all fuel options, and that's right under fleet composition. So is this statement saying that of our fleet of 145 aircraft, 85% of those are, 85 of those aircraft, or 59%, are highly compatible with all fuel options, meaning they can use any type of fuel?
So this is from the Eagle Initiative Interactive Toolkit compatibility. So high compatibility with all fuel options, 85% aircraft. That is an assessment of approximately where we sit as an airport. So that's the Eagle's toolkit says that we have 85 aircraft, which is 59-ish%, which is compatible. So that's data that came from that toolkit. It says that's about our compatibility.
Okay, so I'm not really looking at the number at this point. I'm just trying to understand the terms, all fuel options. So those 85 aircraft can use these different types of leaded and unleaded fuel, whether
That'd be
they're
the different unleaded options that are covered by the report.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you have a sense for, as a pilot and airport manager, do you have a sense for the accuracy of that? You say that's what the report says, but
And now we're getting into the question of how accurate is it truly. Since I've written this report, a lot of this has already changed. So, for example, on the very next page to that, currently available options, the very first one there is Swift Fuel UL 94. Probably within the next couple months, I would completely left that out because the company is transitioning now to their 100 octane. So it's as accurate as the day that it was written.
Okay.
Yep.
great, thank you. And I appreciate that. I think it's a moving target.
Oh, so, yeah, that's an excellent point. So Sandy asked me to explain a little bit more about the intricacies of using leaded versus unleaded fuel, just currently as it stands. Certification process for aircraft and then federal rules and regulations actually limit pilots to what the amounts of fuels and the types of fuels that they can use. So right now, as a pilot, if you wanted to use a fuel other than the 100 low lead, which is the most all aircraft are certified to use and you're legally required to use, you actually have to retype your aircraft. So you have to go through the federal process of getting a supplemental type certificate, which means I as an individual have to go to the FAA downtown, fill out a bunch of paperwork, pay a bunch of fees, have someone assess my aircraft to make sure that it can run unleaded fuel. So to simplify that, if I went to the gas station, filled a jerry can full of fuel and went and dumped it in my plane, that's technically illegal. So there is quite the paperwork process that's involved. And actually part of this report kind of talks about that a little bit and talks about potentially using incentives and stuff like that to help individual aircraft owners make the transition. Now, having said that, one of the greatest visions of this whole transition plan, and one of the things that the industry is certainly crying for, and hopefully the FAA is listening, is really what they need is blanket approval or blanket supplemental type certificate, which they will apply to different models of engines. So that's kind of the holy grail, the great wish list, is that tomorrow the FAA comes out and they say, okay, if you have these planes, if you have these engines, you don't need to go through this formal process. We approve that you can use this unleaded fuel. At the moment, that hasn't happened. So at the moment, it is still a rather lengthy, involved application process for anyone to use anything other than 100 low lead fuel.
Do you have a sense for dollars and hours to get the certificate as it stands today?
I don't think I really give
Plus
great.
or minus 30%.
I don't know if I could give great info on that because each individual plane is going to be different depending on
Okay.
the size and stuff
Okay,
like that.
thank you.
Yeah.
I've just heard it's
Yeah.
arduous, and I just like to get a sense for, is that 40 hours or is that 5 hours?
It's a good question. I have not been through the process myself, so I
Okay.
can't speak to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of I know the flight schools have done it, and they'd be doing it all across a single type of aircraft. And for individuals, I haven't heard. Aerosphere rotates, so they do one load of no lead, one load of 100 of avgas, and one lead. Sorry, I can't get that out. They alternate. And so we need the lead for the lubrication, the way the engines are made, and the valves. And so they alternate, and they've had success with that. And that's what accounts for a lot of the unleaded sales. They're the only flight school on the field and running all the aircraft there, and they're alternating. And jet fuel is no lead by the way it's made and composed. So the jet fuel that's sold there is no lead by default. Any other questions? Thank you.
Yeah.
We don't have any action items currently. Is the emergency plan, we've gotten that cleared? Okay.
That one was done.
And then
Yeah.
the communications plan, since we'll have a presentation from Jill,
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't read through that, read through it. We have no input on that. It's just to familiarize yourself with it. And again, that's a city internal communication. So it's just for our information, and so that we have, and the public has, insight into how they plan to communicate things. And I think that's helpful because that's been a question in the past. Go ahead.
If I may, I think our plan is to bring this for a conversation and your feedback at the next meeting. So if you do have some feedback about, have you thought about this channel, or, is there a possibility to change some approach? I think that's why we're going to have it come to you and have that discussion.
All right, better yet, read it and make notes. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's a tough one to reach our community. And so, yeah, the public channels are better, and all the other channels we have now to use. Thank you. We had no other action item. We had no action items on the agenda, and I don't have any forthcoming at this point. So we'll go ahead and move to final public invited to be heard. Again, anybody can come forward, state your name and address. You've got 5 minutes, and direct your comments to the board. Please come forward, yes.
John Grunsfeld, 229 Airport Road. I think you need a better brief on the unleaded transition. No offense, Levi, but there are hundreds of aircraft and engines that are already on an approved manufacturer's list, approved by the FAA for the use of 100, depending upon which variant, 100 unleaded fuel. In some cases, you have to pay a fee. It's a couple $100. and that's for the older engines. A lot of the airplanes on the field are running Rotax engines. It's a manufacturer, and they're already approved by the manufacturer for using unleaded fuel. And as the chairman said, those aircraft turbines that burn what's called Jet A, it's by nature an unleaded fuel. So the transition is not as high a mountain as it sounds. ASTM, which is a national certification agency for fuels, is working on a much larger blanket certification so that if you can use 100 low lead, you can use 100 unleaded. And that's what the goal is for the 2030 full transition for the nation. That's on the positive side. On the cautionary side, the reason why some aircraft engines can't use currently developed unleaded fuel is because it will damage the engine, which is a public safety issue. So that's why everybody's being so cautious. The goal of the FAA, the EPA, and the manufacturers community is to get past all of that through all of this testing.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody? Go ahead.
I'm glad he clarified that, but helicopters are one of those things that are turbocharged, and the unleaded fuel is required. If you put leaded fuel is required, it'll destroy that engine in a matter of minutes because of pre-detonation. It goes in at 8-to-1 compression ratio, but by the time it gets to the turbocharger, it could be 3 times that, and if I put it in my helicopter, it'll destroy it. But like John said, jet engines, they use kerosene, which is Jet A improved. But the other issue I wanted to make the advisory board aware of is we have a huge tax impact. Last year, the taxes collected for the entire airport was around $150,000. This year, it's going to be 3 times that much, and that is because unknown people have been recording a bill of sale that includes property they do not own. Harold and I have had this discussion, Harold Dominguez, that on a hangar, on leased ground, everything, including the concrete, down, even when you buy it, it's not yours, it's the city's. And so the only thing you own is the tin shed above ground. So that's about 1/3 the cost. I built one of the biggest hangars on the field. I know what the cost is. I put over $200,000 in the ground, and I'm still being taxed at a much higher rate, 10 years old, and I'm still paying a higher per square foot tax, even prior to this new one, than new hangars. So there's a huge issue there, and this is going to have a serious impact on the airport. Just making you aware of it. I know Levi and his boss met with the Boulder County because they're the ones driving this. We are now 3 times the taxes of Jeffco, now called Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport. And of course, their rents are higher, their hangars are more valuable. They got 3 runways, we got 1, and even that's got lumps in it. So the bottom line is, we're the worst airport, or the worst managed airport in the entire state. We don't apply for federal grants. We very seldom get even state grants. I've pushed on this issue for 20 years, and the bottom line is, they think getting federal money is like poison. That was planted in their minds by Kimberly Gibbs, and it hasn't left. So that's, and now we're plowing snow, which is turning to water, and spending thousands of dollars. All of that gets billed back to the airport. That's why the airport is showing a negative. It wouldn't be that way if they had some common sense. And we're using federal and state money to improve and get rid of the deferred maintenance. It's pretty plain and simple, but we're pretty bad at it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Do I have anybody else who'd like to speak? Oh, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Stephanie Uhas, 712 Collier. It's great. He just brought up the issue I was going to talk about, which is why doesn't the city apply for grants? I saw, in the paper today, all these other airports around the state all got grants. And I asked, why didn't Longmont get one? Oh, they didn't apply. I'm like, oh, why is that? we could be saving money. We could be actually getting some of these things done that are on your agenda. And another constituent that I am in touch with just said they're actually interested in putting electric here on the airport. So I don't know if you guys are, I don't know who's taking advice or how you're doing that, but just wanted to add those couple of things. Thanks.
Thank you. Electric at the airport has been on my agenda for 10 years, so we're working on it. Yeah, and so I hear your point.
Since I didn't use all my time, I did work with state legislatures when they were crafting the aviation bill, and they just weren't ready to discuss electric, but they said in a future update they would like to address that, and that's because, when they wrote that bill, it was really about 3 years ago, and the landscape for electric aircraft was far enough out to them that it wasn't important to get that in the bill compared to the other topics.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Do I have any other public who's got thoughts or ideas that have come to them? Now's your chance. All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public invited to be heard. I'm at agenda item 12, which is board, city council, and staff comments. Who would like to go first? Levi, your mic is on. Do you have? Okay.
I'm good.
I just have one clarification related to the open records conversation that we were having. So we will not send out something that's blind copied. I think the idea is that it's an individual responsibility not to hit reply all. And so we wouldn't expect that you would send out something with a blind copy and we wouldn't either. I think we recognize that it's an individual responsibility to not do a reply all. So just for clarification, I think it's my practice to generally when mostly am emailing city council to say, please do not reply all to avoid creating an open records violation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other comments? Or I see Mr. Council.
Thanks, Chair Jordan. I really appreciate that. I think most of us know that none of you would go and do this nefariously in regards to reply all. If you accidentally do that, that happens. And from my onboarding with the attorney's office, as many of the other council members, they said, if you did that over and over and over again, and you kind of ignored it, it would be one thing. But, none of you are trying to be sneaky about emailing, reply all and going oopsie sort of thing. So I know that's not your intent.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Any other? Oh, go ahead.
So here we are again at a meeting where we have all been duly appointed by the city council, yet that same council seeks to dissolve this board. The dissolution was directed by the person to my left here, Councilperson Sean McCoy, seconded by our mayor. According to Councilperson McCoy, in his own words, I have full faith the board is capable of handling issues of overseeing that. Other communities, such as Boulder, do not have a dedicated advisory board. They may have a transportation advisory board, which is a piece of that puzzle. And so it is my recommendation that we take advantage of that. We are finding that some boards aren't getting filled, and it might be advantageous of us to have folks bring that together. To my understanding, there is a lack of faith that the board they approved cannot fulfill ambiguous goals. The council has not provided this board any direction. it reminds me of our current U.S. presidential administration. In 2025, 3 advisory committees were eliminated. There were more continued on in the year. And even now, we continue to see that. All these citizen volunteer boards in the federal government were eliminated by MAGA policy just because the president didn't agree with what the board was saying. So it appears that Mr. McCoy is practicing these MAGA principles, which kind of shocks me because he says he's progressive. What's even more of a surprise is in June 11th of 2009, this very board questioned Mr. McCoy to his commitment to the AAB in light of his council's votes. Reading directly from the official minutes, he said he has always been an advocate of the airport, will continue to support the airport, and will continue to contribute to this board. Now, our council liaison has done an about-face to what he has said and has called for this board to be dissolved. Was the public being misled in 2009? If the issue is noise, just a year prior to Mr. McCoy's previous statement, in the AAB's March 13th, 2008 meeting, he did not say anything about residential noise, but instead proposed commercial development to reduce complaints and have an area for safe landing. If the issue is the board being run in a certain way, well, we just filled our board last year, and it was full-term appointments that were due. It's the city council's choice in their vote to draft an ordinance to dissolve the AAB. We were making progress in our meeting previously, laying the foundation for committees on the AAB, which is not novel. It has been done in the past. Previous committees were public relations, commercial development, economic development, the master plan, safety, etc. But now the city council would like to render this board down to an already overworked and not full transportation board. But I will meet you halfway, and I do propose that we find a solution to this. In 1994, the AAB had a liaison to the Transportation Board. The person would not sit on the board, but just attend meetings and be the voice of the AAB. We can make that happen again. If the issue is with noise, let's look past and see if we can fill this board with somebody from the Planning and Zoning Commission, as previously done. What the council looks to do is erase history of this airport. Even the mayor made a comment and said surrounding communities do not have an airport advisory board. That is categorically false with a simple Google search. Rocky Mountain Metro has an AAB. Erie has an alternative AAB where economic development is involved. Denver has a citizen AAB. Colorado Springs has an AAB, and so does Pueblo, Grand County, Durango, Brush, Fort Morgan, Aspen, and on it goes in Colorado. To quote the former airport director for Aspen, the airport advisory board members take a look at the big picture. And that's the track we were on before this city council derailed us. Now we're just staring down the path to an airport closure if this AAB is dissolved. The choice is simple. Our airport is an economic driver. It helped our community during the 2013 flood. It trains the next generation of Air Force personnel and commercial pilots. We are here to help the council. We are on the same team, but it just feels like I'm getting tackled by the very people that I'm supposed to be on the team with. I did not join this board to play politics, but here I am discussing this. I'm here to give my voice and my experience to the council. Madam Chair, I motion we adjourn.
Do I have a second? I have a motion. Do I have a second to adjourn? Seconded by Malcolm. All in favor of adjourning? Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.